Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first official episode of Whispers in the Woods. It's so interesting. I don't have a plan of attack as far as what I'm going to be talking about today, but I'm just going to roll with it. I'm just going to go with the flow. Let me adjust this real quick. It's funny because I was thinking the other day, I was thinking about the name and kind of trying to embody, what this whole thing has meant to me and how everything shifted, how everything kind of started. These births and these deaths and rebirths, they matter in life. And I guess how this whole thing started as far as me entering a digital space, plain and simple, it was because I was fucking attacked. You know what I mean? I was attacked by a bunch of corrupt individuals, that were after me for quite a long time. And this whole thing kind of started with me simply having conversations with myself. And it was a way of healing. It was a way of healing myself by talking through things. A lot of this I did privately. Without even hitting the record button. And then it kind of cultivated into something different. I started to make these video journals in which I was simply noting my thoughts, and kind of just earmarking everything that was going on at the time, so I can go back, so I can look back and have that emotional accountability for myself as far as where I was, a month ago, a week ago, a day ago. Doesn't matter. But yeah, deaths and rebirths, it truly matters. And when I was thinking about the name, Whispers in the Woods, it kind of just spoke to me, man, because the only type of seclusion and peace that I could really attain is by coming out in the middle of the fucking woods where I can be absolutely alone. And even then, I was still fucking harassed by people who continuously come for me, trying to fuck with my peace, trying to inject themselves into my life. And it didn't really matter because they can't take that type of peace away. When I'm in the woods or when I'm around nature, everything else just kind of goes away, in a certain way. It's not that you ignore everything, but it's paying attention to the things that matters and the things that lift you up in life. So yeah, that's pretty much how this whole thing started. You know what I mean? Was me making these video journals, and then it kind of just cultivated into what it is now, which it's simply me having conversations with myself. And that's really how I'm gonna move forward, with this whole thing. Whether it's successful or not, it really doesn't make any difference, because at the same time, this is a therapy session for me, man. It's like, you know what it truly reminds me of is that NF song, where therapy session, where he talks about it, and he kind of speaks, in the beginning of the song, and he's like, this is just a therapy session for me, man. If I didn't have this, I wouldn't be helping myself. I wouldn't be lifting myself up. And that's really what this has been to me. It's simply a hobby, but it's grown into a passion. And I feel like there are things and wisdom that I have attained that could help people. You know what I mean? Get through hard times, get through struggle, get through strife. And one thing also that you have to know is that I'm not all love and light over here. You know what I mean? There's a reason why I am the way that I am. And I'm not going to be apologetic about it at all. I'm not going to apologize for who I am. I'm not going to apologize for how I am. And sometimes you'll get the light, and sometimes you'll get the dark. And I think in the coming days, weeks, and months, you'll understand why that is. That being said, it this whole journey, because I've pretty much been unsupported throughout this entire journey, for this past year. I haven't talked to anybody, in a physical space, in the 3D, as far as, my situation or anything like that goes. But when I think about help, I've had help. And my help came in the form confirmation burp. That's what that's what Jadina would say, which is kind of what I'm getting to. The help that I've had has been from unexpected places, digital spaces where I found two guides, you know what I mean? And I'm so grateful that these human beings exist. And I'll give a shout out to them, the Draconic Priestess and Jadina. Both of them have been extremely influential in my life, as far as lifting me up when I'm down or pushing me when I need to keep going. The occasional gaslighting when necessary, you know what I mean? To try to just push you in the right direction, Be a guiding light. And I can't express how grateful I am to them, because there is no amount of money that I could give them to ever repay them for what they've been in my life. They've been this light, they have guided me through periods of darkness within my life, when I was struggling emotionally or in any way, and they have opened my mind up to a lot of different things, and I'm so appreciative and I'm so grateful for them. And I know I'm not the only one. That's the thing. I'm not the only one that thinks this about them. They know that they're phenomenal human beings. They know that their energy is special. And it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing from God. That being said, we have that aside. In the coming days, these injustices that still stand to this day. And this isn't me and my ego at all. This is simply me calling a spade a spade. It is what it is, and at the end of the day, too much time has passed. Too many injustices still stand. So in the coming days, what I plan on doing is fully calling out the Space Force, all their toxic fucking leaders that exist within it. And then I am going to systematically dismantle this fucking organization. There are people that know the toxicity that exists within these organizations. But I'm going to give specifics. I'm going to go in detail. I'm going to rip these people apart. And it's not because I have to. It's because I'm being called to. Too much time has passed. I gave you people options. You don't take those options. So now you get to fucking deal with me. Now you get to deal with the fire. And that's the fire and the passion that I was waiting for to rise to the surface. It's come and go. It's come and go throughout this past year. And I've exposed many different things. But now it's going to be in a very public space. And it's going to be very open. It's going to be very available. And you're going to see all of the injustices and how these people operate and what kind of bullshit that they're into. Because I have a feeling that once people understand the gravity of the situation and the lengths that these people went to come after me, the false narratives, the lies, the deception, the illegal activities, really, to me, they're just low-level criminals. They're very untalented individuals, and they deserve the fate in which I'm going to give them. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to feel any which way about it. Fucking take a nap afterwards. Don't give a fuck. Moving on. You know, I've heard in the past, you know, don't talk about people, talk about ideas. Well, I've talked about my ideas. I've talked about my dreams, my aspirations, and I'm very much going to chase them. But people are holding me back. They continue to hold me back. These people and corrupt individuals and government organizations, having sealed court cases, thinking that I don't have any knowledge of this shit. And to tell you the truth, I'm kind of fucking over it, you know? It's about time that I get some justice. And since I can't get that, I'm going to tear these fucking people down, you know? Don't talk about people, talk about ideas. Well, this is a shout out to anybody in the Kennedy family that came up against me. And I think they know who they are, you know? Caroline, Jack Myers, Jack Schlossberg, whatever the fuck your name is. I don't fucking know. I don't care. I'm going to take everything from you. I'm going to take everything from you, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. You people deserve the worst, and I'm going to give it to you. Come after me for absolutely no fucking reason other than your greed. Which is okay. And that's part of the journey, right? Accepting your own fate and trying to understand it fully. Which is exactly what I've done over this past year. You know, I've understood. Yeah, and you're always going to have those questions in life, you know, when you go through hard times, when people oppress you, you know, when there's tyrannical leaders that exist within the United States that come up against you. People within government organizations committing domestic terrorism. Yes, domestic terrorism. These are the things that I'm going to be speaking of. But after it's all said and done, you know, the smoke settles and you really process those emotions, those feelings, you know, you're going to have times, you know, where you go through this era of kind of anger, bitterness, you know. None of that really exists within me anymore. And if it does come to the surface, it's very fleeting, you know. It comes in and it goes out. It's emotions. It's just like eating food. You're eventually going to pass it. And it happens fairly quickly, you know, in the grand scheme of things. What you don't want to do is cling on to those feelings, you know, because that's when you know you have a fucking problem. And that's nothing that I'm doing anymore. Everything that comes in, I'm releasing right away, and I'm moving forward. But in moving forward, I'm going to tear these people down. I'm going to tear down the illusion and the veil that the United States government tries to fucking throw in front of people's faces. It's interesting to think about because, you know, you'll see some of my creations are political in nature, and people might have this misconception about me that I am political. No, this shit is just in my DNA, number one. Number two, I think there's a reason why I'm completely passionate about some of these things that I speak of. And it's because I understand that if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. And the way that politics has kind of changed course, you know, in the coming years, and the way that these administrations have been operating behind the scenes without public knowledge. People need to wake up, and they do need to get involved, because the United States government was never supposed to have this much control over human beings. Never. We the people are supposed to have control of our own destiny, of our own fate. We aren't supposed to be oppressed. There isn't supposed to be so much hidden knowledge within the United States government. They shouldn't be able to systematically dismantle your life whenever they feel like it. And that's the fucking problem with today. I feel like the government has forgotten that. And I'm not anti-government either. So nobody out there twist my fucking words, because that's not what I fucking said. There's always a need for government. There's always a need for law, for order, balance, justice, peace. That's the shit that I'm about. And there is no balance in today's systems. The systems are absolutely broken. It has bred corruption, and you can see it when you click on the news, or when you look up articles, when you look up historical facts on how people are trading within stock markets. This shit is corruption. This quid pro quo type of behavior, where you get government favoritism and government contracts for political favoritism. How is that not corruption? That is corruption. That is corruption, ladies and gentlemen, in its truest form. Somebody gaining personally through political manipulation. But the good news is that this past election that happened, in which Donald J. Trump was elected for the United States president, showed us something. You know, if you look behind it, it showed that people with a podcast can swiftly change the trajectory of an election. People with a podcast, people like Joe Rogan, people like Theo Vaughn. There's another guy that I want to mention, but I can't remember. Sean Ryan, that's another one. Do you think that these people didn't play a part in why the election came out the way that it did? They did. They absolutely played a part, which shows us something. It shows us that we, the American people, have more power than we know of. Because these podcasts that I speak of, and these podcast representatives, you know, these people that run these podcasts, what they represent and what they embody primarily is the general consensus of the American population. You know, there's a lot of common sense. There's a lot of, they're very down to earth. They're very grounded. You know, they take a very no bullshit, common sense approach to politics as a whole. And when there's corruption, they want to know about it. When people go ahead and they campaign for certain things and they don't follow through with those certain things, and they actually do the opposite, you can see what Sean Ryan did on his podcast. He calls these motherfuckers out. And that's how it should be. That's how it fucking should be. But it shows us that we have more power than we know. And these people really don't run the show. These fucking elites, these fucking undercover billionaires, you know, these people moving pawns on this chessboard. They don't have all the fucking power. There needs to be accountability and reform within the United States, within all these systems, within politics. Things need to change. Things need to absolutely change for this world to be a better place. You know, for us to really reach our sovereignty, we need to change. And we need to have these realizations. We need to do a lot of deep introspection as far as how we can do it. Come up with fucking solutions. And I'm not talking about fucking temporary change. I'm talking about a permanent change, a very long-lasting change, you know, in which the United States fucking really shifts. It really shifts into an era of abundance, you know, of sovereignty. Not chasing toxic things all the time. Corruption just ending. But yeah, that's what you can expect in the coming days, in the coming weeks, in the coming months from me. I'm gonna expose these people, and I'm gonna give actual fucking details as far as my situation went, and I'm gonna throw it out there because I'm called to. Because it's fucking time. It's time for these people to pay the price. And it's time for everybody out there to wake up and really understand what's going on.